Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the December Boards and Officer bi-monthly meeting for DSATS. This is the last meeting of the year, obviously. This is the agenda that I have put together, similar to previous meetings. Start with some general section update with the membership trends, financials, and then we go through a few issues, few open questions that we have and updates. And the last part will be the upcoming events. I think we're going to spend some time on the symposium, planning for the symposium, because we only have essentially 3 months, less than 3 months left. All right, so let's get going. So this is the latest on the membership front. Up to end of November, there is 1 month missing. So overall, it's a good picture, I think. You watch this picture, this number here, we are slightly higher than where we closed 2022. And I think we're going to get another maybe 50 members or something in December. So the total, the net increase is in the order of 5%, which I think is okay. But the real good news is the 40% increase that we see on the student membership compared to last year. On this side, this number here, I'm sorry. And you can see down here the comparison, which is a very positive thing. Now, there is a new graph that SP posts, which is on this upper right side, which shows the conversion from student members to professional members. And this is cumulative, starting in January and adding up all the way to December. So it's going to be in the order of 80 people, 80 new members that convert from students to professional members. So that's a good thing, because the increase that we see on the student membership should carry itself forward as professional members. Even though we all know the headwinds we're facing, you saw what happened in the COP28 this week. It is still a positive sign to see, that there are students that are joining the section. Here I have another chart that I think is also encouraging. The one on the left is the same that I had in the previous slide. The one on the right, it shows, the biggest sections by members. And it used to be that the Gulf Coast was the biggest section, but now Middle East and North Africa is the biggest section. And the third one down here is Africa, bigger than the North Sea. So you see that there are new areas where the growth is, if you want, from members, and probably for activity for the industry. And I think the two are tied together. They are reflecting each other. So that's something we need to take note of and plan for the future, for events, conferences, participation, university activities, etc. We have to utilize this growth and encourage this growth from these areas. And on that note, I just want to mention the conference that Beneath participated in November. We mentioned that in the community call, but it was after our last board call here. So there was a conference in the university in India, northern part. It was organized by the Department of Chemical Engineering in that university, and it was about petroleum engineering, hydrogen, and decarbonization. So he went there as the DSATS rep. He set up a booth, and he presented, the section, the activities at a high level. And I think he did a good job, because from what I see in the LinkedIn, he got positive feedback from many people that attended that conference. So it's this kind of events, I think, that we need to promote and encourage, so we get new blood, so to speak, in the pipeline, new people, young people that are that have the energy and the enthusiasm to contribute, in the section and in the industry. So that's all I have really for the membership. I don't know if there are any questions before we pass on to Robert for the financial update.
If you want, Yeah, if you want to promote that, Demetrios, maybe it's an idea to make a standard package that the regional program chairs just pick up and use rather than they each try and make their own.
That's right. Absolutely. I sent a few slides to Binit, and I think we can build on that and have, like you say, a package that we can use consistently, around the world. I think that's a good idea. Yeah.
Can you go back to that slide, please, that showed the regions? Thank you. And I think you're absolutely right in that we have to figure out how to drive the membership in that area to be really engaged and participating. So are those members also part of regional sections?
That's a good point, Robert. It has come up in the past how to coordinate with the geographic section. How the technical sections can coordinate for activities, for events, etc. And I have to admit that we're not doing as well as we should in that area. I haven't really networked with the counterparts, but I think that's something that we can look into and coordinate the activities, and that will help with the membership and organization and using the resources that we have, jointly.
Yeah, I don't see our Middle East director or program chair online at the moment, but maybe this is something we can bring up to her and maybe even see if we can figure out how to get her some more support in the area as well.
Yeah.
And so we can reach out and have an active reach out to these people specifically.
Yeah.
And Africa, I'm just not quite sure how to approach that. I know I've seen the activity on the ISCWSA side. I've had students on the online course in the East Africa area as well. So again, identifying them and trying to drive through engagement and action and not just membership would be really good. And I've got no great ideas on how to do that.
Yeah. Okay, very good. So let's move on to the next topic, which is the financials closing out the year. I think we have Robert here on the call. Yes, Robert, please go ahead and good morning.
I'll be really brief this morning. We had no activity since October, so there's really not much to update on the accounts. The accounts have been flat. We have one big commitment for Drillbotics, still with the documentary, and I believe that is the financial update. Any questions or any discussion points?
I have a question, Robert. So this 6.5K is the second half of the payment to David, correct?
That is my understanding, yes.
Yeah, okay. And this is money that David himself is raising for the documentary.
He's already raised. It's in our accounts.
Yeah.
So when's that commitment due?
After the documentary is released, I saw some activity, some posts that they're in the final stages of editing and producing it. It's not yet released, but once it's out, then I think the invoice will come in.
Okay.
It's in production now. He just started it about 2 or 3 weeks ago. So I'm not sure when he's going to finish, probably in the next month. He put out a little teaser, but I didn't want to release the teaser until I had an idea of when the next step would actually happen. I haven't heard yet.
Hey, Robert, I have a question. It's not a needle mover or a significant needle mover, but the DSATS event that we put on in October, have we gotten anything from SPE, from the ticket sales and from the things that the sponsorships, did that ever hit our account?
No, I haven't heard anything in regards to that event.
Okay. We'll follow up with Greg.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you, Austin. Yeah, that's a good point.
That typically takes a few months for them to work through all of their invoices and bills. And then if there's any leftover, that's when we fill out a form to have the money transferred.
Yeah,
and it could work.
There definitely should be. I mean, we should see a positive from everything that they quoted us, and from like I said, it's not going to be a huge sum, but there should be something.
Yeah, there is some. There should be some. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Okay, let's move on. So now we go.
With Greg
Sorry.
online there, maybe Greg can give an indication of how quickly the SPE is going to tie up their accounts for that.
Greg will have to go bug a few people to get the answers. I'm not sure. Yeah, go ahead, Greg.
So what are we exactly, what are we talking about? The finances for?
The special session we had at the ATCE, if you remember that social event with the 4 stations, if there is any money. Yeah.
I'm waiting for the audio video charges. I'm supposed to get those this week sometime, but I do know that since that will be covered by the allowance that we provide, that you will be making a profit. I don't have the final numbers yet, but I know that everybody, the dinners and the reception all had surplus money. So I'll have that information probably the end of this week once I get those final audio video figures.
Excellent. Thank you, Greg. Any other questions on the finances? It's going to come back up, the finances, some of the other topics. Okay, let's move on then. So now we go through some of the other activities and section questions. We have our annual meeting coming up in March, which means that this is the cycle for new officers to come in or continue, or some of those that expire or don't want to continue to cycle out. So the meeting is on Monday, March 4th. We have about a month to bring us to late January, which is the target date for publishing the nominations. It's not a long time, especially with the holidays in the middle. That 45-day target before the meeting is a little bit flexible, because after those nominations are published, we have a 15-day period from day 45 to day 30 where members can nominate themselves or others. So the 30-day before the meeting is really the hard target that we're shooting for. I was going through the Constitution yesterday to see, how that works. Nevertheless, whether it's end of January or first week of February makes little difference. We just need to put a committee in place like we did last year and try to fill some of the openings that we have. I don't think we're going to have many this year, as many as we had the last couple of cycles. One for sure that we have to replace is Tony Ping, who resigned, and make sure that the people that we have now in place continue, or if not, look for new people. So according to the Constitution, the nominating committee is 3 people, a director, and 2 members that are not officers. So can we come up with a committee here in this call? Do we have any volunteers from the directors to lead this effort? Robert led last year. He did an excellent job. I don't think it's fair to ask him to do it again, unless he comes forward by himself. Anyone else?
I'm just looking to try and see if I can figure out what positions are actually coming up, which makes it easier for the next person to figure out. I'm looking at my last year's notes. It's not jumping out at me exactly, so I'll have to.
I think we need, other than Tony, it's gonna be good to find the area rep for Africa, like we said earlier, and then see how many of the people are willing to continue, or if not, find replacements. It's gonna be less than 10 people, for sure, less than 10 people.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
Nest,
as Robert says, you've got to figure out who's timing out, but hopefully
Yeah.
nobody.
Yeah. Nestor also has a suggestion, I believe. Is this a good time, Nestor?
Yes. I am kind of frustrated because I couldn't do so much in Latin America this year. So I think that I would like to include like a team that working with more than one people in the region. And at the same time suggest what, because for example, in the SP in Argentina, I start to do the chairperson for all the webinars and all the other stuff. So I was the first one to chairperson and start to work with the pandemic and all the other stuff, and we did a very good job. But what I noted that once one person take that position to guide and to do everything, after 1 or 2 years, that things start to be relaxing and there is no another people who continue with that. So I come up with that idea that to use like the SP do with the president, that we have one elected president, one the real president, and one the past president. So the three are working together. So the elected president is starting to know what's going on and try to do something. And then the next year he knows what to do. And then the next year he helped to the new one in the same time.
That's a good idea, I think, Nestor.
So I am trying to find out another person to help me and then try to do that continuity. So what do you think about that?
I like the idea. I'm wondering if the incoming person needs to be formally, voted in, or I mean, is he voted for a 3-year cycle or for a 1-year cycle? I guess that's my question.
Well, it depends what is our actually how we work. We work 1 year or 2 years. So how many years we work now?
Everybody is up for the election every year with a maximum of 3 years for the officers.
Well, that is what I mean. At the end of the 3 years, you should have to have somebody who be working with you in the previous year. So they've been working together. So the new one that came, he will know everything that had been doing during that period.
That I follow. I understand the suggestion. My question is, during that, let's say, phase-in period, the new person has to be pre-approved, let's say, pre-voted?
Yes.
Or he's just learning and he's only voted as the rep when he really takes over?
Yes.
I mean, that's something we can discuss.
Yeah, so Demetrius, I think I like the idea of having that cycle going through.
Yeah.
And maybe that's at the officer level in our board committee level.
Yeah.
Possibly the program chairs in the regions may be able to recruit locally themselves to build a team that they can then work with, and then out of that team would then maybe come the nomination to take over in future years. So it may free up the program chairs to get on with their business locally without having to go global and wait every 2 months for a board meeting or a year to get somebody nominated. So
that's fine. I'm fine with that.
So I think maybe the local program chairs, there may be a way of the local program chairs to develop that one. Like, for example, we had in Asia, we had I think Benit was nominated, and I had Indrajit supporting him.
Yes.
So maybe not officially elected and things like that, but in place to give that whole local subcommittee, which doesn't have to be elected.
Yeah, I think that's fine. And here for North America, we have those deputy roles, deputy finance, deputy, that kind of. Robert Darby was helping Robert Estes for a while, then he took over kind of very seamlessly. And now Sam is doing the same. So there is no reason why we cannot duplicate that in all areas. and have people kind of learning, then leading, then passing on the baton in the third year. Yeah, I think that's fine. Do you think we need to capture this formally in the Constitution, or we have it? Yeah, Mark, go ahead.
This may be a good one for the bylaws,
Okay.
and then the bylaws can just be voted on by the board.
Without going to the entire membership, you mean? Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. That's a good suggestion, Nestor. Thank you.
Okay.
So we haven't closed this out. I mean, do you think we can come up with a name here or two names, or we take it offline? We don't have everybody here. I can send them. I can reach out to the directors offline and see if we can get someone to lead this effort. But it's a question that is pending in front of us. And the sooner we put this committee in place, the better. Okay, let's move on to the next topic then. The DWIS update.
Before you jump on there, as a quick one, Demetrius, it might make that committee's job easier if you, as chairman, reached out to all the existing officers and board members and say, "Are you prepared to continue?" Because that will then give the next person coming in, the nominating committee chair, less work to do.
I should start, absolutely. Yeah, I will do that. Very good. Okay, so then to the activities of the section. So the DWIS, this similar slide to what I had last time. If you remember, the highlight last meeting was the demo in September. So since October, since we last met, there hasn't been such a big milestone like the demo, but the work streams keep working, all of them. Clint stepped aside because he had some other commitments in SLB. So I reached out to a gentleman from Neighbors to take over from Clint, Arima. He gave one of the webinars about the smart ROS that Neighbors is working on, the webinars that DSATS had, this year. And thankfully he's interested to participate, and I'm very happy to see ADCS. ADCS is automated drilling control system. I'm very happy to see ADCS reps joining the DWIS effort through Arima and through some people that they reached out to Eric after the demo. So I think we're finally getting some traction with the industry, with the people that actually do the work. So that is the most important update from my point of view. There is some interesting work going on in the work streams about the different interfaces, how to tag bottom, etc. Some interesting discussions. The other update is that Serafima is on maternity leave. So John McPherson took over the leadership of the context group. John had a few calls now, and all the streams are pretty much shut down for the holidays, and we are restarting in January. And finally, I want to thank Robert van Kulenborg and Matt Isbell for leading the effort to publish this paper that we're preparing for the business benefits and drivers of interoperability. That paper was is for the drilling conference. It was accepted. We prepared the real paper the last few weeks. It was submitted, and I think we hope to be a landmark paper that will attract more interest and more people in this work. So we'll see how it goes. So that's all I have really on the DWIS. I don't know if John or Eric, if they're here, if they want to add any comments. Yeah, Fred?
We need to be on the lookout for a new webmaster, but before the end of January, okay?
Thank you. So I don't know if most of you already know, but Fred is retiring again from the activities of the section. He has been the main driver for the DWIS and for DSATS for many years. I want to recognize Fred for all his work and, getting DSATS off the ground during the early few years. Clearly, during the symposium, we're going to have something to recognize Fred, but also I suggest that I would like to have something, a social event amongst the board and officers, at least sometime in January here in Houston, to celebrate Fred's contributions. So this is not going to be a major expense. I don't think we need to have approval. It's going to be within the limits that I can approve as chair. I look forward to having all of you join Fred and thank him essentially for his contribution. I don't have details yet, dates, times, etc. All this I'll share ahead of time, of course. And that hope that all of you can make it, at least most of you. I don't expect people from Europe to come, but it's not going to be a Teams meeting. It's going to be a face-to-face meeting. There is no process for replacing directors emeritus. We have very few of these guys. They earn this position. This is not something that can be appointed or voted in. We have 3 so far: Fred, John, Edward, and John McPherson. We're going to be left with 2 after this. Or Fred, I don't know if you still going to attend the calls, but I mean that once you earn that title, I don't think it goes away really ever.
No, you're right. No, I'll probably attend the monthly calls, and for right now for DWIS, I'll attend the Friday calls. But I was attending every meeting like you do.
Yeah,
and it was too much.
It is time consuming for sure.
Hey, Fred, I'll believe all this when you retire the 3rd time.
Yeah, I know. But we do need somebody to look after the websites.
Yeah.
So if not, you're going to have to pay somebody. So
Yeah.
You don't want me looking after
hand
that
it over to
website.
Adam. You can hand them over to Adam, but Adam's he'll want money.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that would be excellent for a member that is IT savvy to take over.
I do have one other question from the slide. You said Serafima's on maternity leave and John's helping out with the DWIS group. Following up on Nestor's point, who is backing up Serafima in Europe? Or have we just dropped Europe and sub-Saharan Africa for the rest of the term?
The chairs for the section, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah. Just food for thought, okay?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All right. Let's move to the next topic here. Next.
Well, Serafima's coming back in June, huh? So it's not going to be.
Yeah, it's going to be a 6-month window. Yeah. Okay, so the next update is from Rodica about the work, the verification and validation. Before she starts, I just want to make a comment that she's doing some excellent work there and always keeps coming up with excellent ideas that complement not only, I mean, they don't apply only to the VNV work, but complement the DWIS work and kind of bring everything together. Just want to mention that because this applies for the symposium that we're trying to put together, finding community members, reaching outside the industry. I would like to thank Rodica for her leadership role in this, So having said that, Rodica, please carry us through this couple of slides.
Thank you, Dimitrios. Thank you for the nice words. And I would also like to pass further thank you, Fred, for a great support in the group. And we are very sorry for your retirement, but of course we understand. So yeah. I put this 3 slides. I don't have more than 3, just to show you a brief summary of the year 2023 for us. So we are not a large group, but we are a very engaged group. So we have good discussions. and of course, we are dependent on the members there to ask the good questions to trigger the discussions. And Fred did a wonderful work on that. We ran throughout the year with tri-weekly meetings, and then we had quite some work in the beginning of the year to, well, it was not so much about preparation, but it was more agreeing upon the charter that we submitted to the board. So then the group became official in the beginning of the year. So afterwards, we try to define and detail a bit more what we want to address in the verification and validation subcommittee. And as I mentioned before, but I want just to repeat, so we want to address the interplay when we are dealing with multiple systems forced to collaborate together. So this is not about verification and validation of sense or a special system. So if you can take the next slide, Dimitrios.
Yeah.
Thank you. I will not repeat the charter and so on. It's public. We have, thanks to Marie and Edgar, we have a website on the DSATS. So try to put some information, and we will add more. Throughout the work. So what we have done was we started a mapping for the definitions. Oh no, I have a double thing. So definition and glossary for verification and validation when it comes to complex automation systems. And why did I say it in general is because we are looking also outside of drilling to see what the others have been doing in car industry, in airplane industry, and so on, because we don't want to reinvent the wheel. But at the same time, there are specific challenges when it comes to drilling domain that we need to be addressing, and we also need to map those specific challenges. We looked into a nice investigation with formal verification of consistency in data, some work which has been done already. And then we also, when dealing with multiple systems, we are also interested about consistency in features, the dependencies there, how they can do the handshake, or not only based on the data exchange, but also what kind of functionalities they need to exchange. So this is also where it comes in synergies with Davis, because Davis has been doing a great job when it comes to interoperability for the data. And what we are looking now is also interoperability of functionalities, of features. And we're looking some methods there. We are also exploring synergies with some of the work done in artificial intelligence systems. In particular, any level of automation systems. And then we also discuss some different methods, and we're planning several webinars throughout. I will come back to that in the next slide. So we have been discussing this method called Systems Theoretic Accident Model and Processes, which short is called STAMP, which was used in different domains, and original generating from a professor from MIT. We have been also raised, John Dwart raised brought up this paper, and we have been looking into and discuss. It's about formal model-based assurance cases from some underwater vehicles. And we also looked into method more coming from the AI systems on validation triangle. So we have quite a broad mapping right now. This is what we are discussing, and also we are bringing it down to cases from drilling industry to see how this fit. So we have tried to be consistent with the case using Davis with the ROP management, fall detection, isolation, safe operating envelope, and how this can be put with these different methods. Yes, this is a very brief, and I have a plan for dissemination and some ongoing activities that we impart in the next slide. So we had planned, we have a member in our team who has experience with STAMP on some use case, and we discussed with him, and he was willing to give, someone from his team was willing to give a presentation, but we had to postpone, unfortunately, and now we are, Dimitrios is in dialogue with him for a webinar in 2024. We are discussing the team because there's quite some work done already, and we are discussing to put it into an abstract to submit to the coming annual technical meeting. And also we want to be able to reach broader to increase the team by doing this publication. So and also presented the activities on some annual seminar on digitalization in Norway, and also as part of some an event organized by the European Commission on complex artificial intelligence system in France. And that's it from my side.
Yeah, thank you, Rodica. And there are a few leads here, a few directions, as you can tell, and I think we can explore those, for the symposium, potential panel members. I know John has a couple of ideas. If we follow all those, I think it's going to be a very diverse and powerful panel. But all this has to happen. It's still a thought at this point,
Yeah.
Any questions for Rodica?
I see Fred has his.
Yeah, Fred, go ahead.
Go back one slide, please, will you, Demetrius?
Yeah.
Rodica, will you copy those links into the chat?
Oh, yes, I can do that.
There's no way for us to click on this here.
Okay, yeah, sure,
so
sure. I can open
that,
on my side and I will copy. Well, yes,
One
of course.
second, I can do that right now.
And it's something that other people could do in the future. Same thing.
Yeah, yeah. Fred, I'm also sending these minutes of meetings for the verification validation. You are still on the list, so probably you'll get those as well.
Okay, and starting next year, you need to let me know when you're going to start, and are you going to use the same login credentials for your meetings, or will you have anything different? Let me know.
Yes. Oh, thank you. Perfect.
Fred is setting up himself for a third retirement, it seems.
Don't try to steal Fred from my committee, Demetrius.
Yeah. Excellent. Very good. Thank you, Rodica.
Thank you.
All right. So next is the robotics. Sasi is not here. Fred, I think, is going to give us the last update on this. Fred, why don't you give us a summary and then we talk about the financial part?
To be honest, I didn't prepare well to tell you which teams are involved. I might be able to do that in a moment, or at least put it in the chat for a moment. This past year, when we had Group A and Group B, the two teams that were the head of each of the groups were fairly well matched, and we decided that we would let both teams present the paper for this coming March. So it's been a lot of fun herding two groups of cats instead of one, but we finally got the paper completed and presented and uploaded, and now we're starting to work on the presentation. So when we're there in March, we're in one of the sessions, we're lead off in one of the sessions. I'll probably lead the paper just to introduce the two team members, and then each of them will talk a little bit about what they've done. But the team from Germany did a tremendous job. They learned a lot about directional drilling and the impact of the bottom hole assembly and the bit, and they made major changes, and they built a replica of a downhole RSS that's just phenomenal. And then the UAS team worked to detect a kick using the NORSA simulator. They would detect the kick and then decide, will you try to solve this with MPD? And if you can't, then you switch over and close in the well. So both of them did really good work. But what we've got right now is a problem with this group and the people who say there's a whole lot of good things for young students. We look and track the number of students who are members of our group, and those that, when they were no longer students, decide to stay with DSATS, and yet nobody's made a single dollar contribution this year. Nobody's spoken up to be a judge this year. So if we valued robotics, we need participation and we need money, or this will be the last year of robotics. We just won't have enough money to do our job next year. So I hate to sound so down, but this is really something that everybody says they value, but they don't put their money where their mouth is. And I don't know how to sugarcoat that.
Yeah. So that's, for the short term, though, Fred, do we have enough funding to cover the travel expenses of the students, or should we have the DSATS account cover that?
We don't have enough. We've got $22,000 in the bank, and that's normally enough for each year. We'll probably need another 10. So if we get DSATS and wellbore positioning technical section to step up, we'll certainly have enough. And if not, but really, it's the companies that are benefiting from this need to be making some contributions.
I mean, the question that's facing us is really the travel expenses for the two teams. That's the immediate.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the German teams, they got a couple thousand euros in their account, but they don't have enough money to buy their tickets right now. So we're going to go ahead and have to buy their flights ahead of time. And normally we work just on a reimbursement basis.
Yeah.
Which works pretty well, but they just don't have the funds and they don't have the credit cards that they can charge against. So I'm really asking the board to approve the purchase of the airfare ahead of time.
And that's for the German team or for both teams, Fred?
The Norwegians haven't asked for it.
Okay.
But the Germans, so I think they're getting some help from their school in some way, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
John?
Yeah, I would go ahead, and I think the DSAT should definitely fund that. The money's just sitting there. I mean, we seem to be sitting on top of a pot. So why don't we start using the money?
I mean, if nothing else, we can use the PayPal money that is sitting there for a few years now.
Yeah, I can move that across. Yeah.
Yeah. Mark?
I recognize if there's any funds left over, remember that it all goes back to DSATS. I mean, it's DSATS bank account. It's just with the Drillbotics name on it.
Yeah.
So Demetrios, I second John's motion.
Say again, please.
You second
John's motion.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Thank you both, Mark. John.
Yeah, even though I can't vote, I think it's the right thing for DSATS just to vote and agree to pay for that airfare piece and just pay it. Don't loan it or anything like that. As John says, we have collected a lot of funds. Yeah. We haven't spent them really. I mean, small things. We seem to be doing very well on our symposiums of getting income. And I think it demonstrates to the industry that when we do collect funds, we actually sponsor some things ourselves. So it's an example that's easier to take to some company and say, hey, we're paying this, but we need some more for that. Yeah. As well, the other thing for SPE is they need to see some cash flow rather than just accumulating funds because of their charity status.
Yeah. I created a LinkedIn post as DSATS section, and then I reposted it as myself, where I have the link on our website where people can make contributions. I'm not sure if anything has come in, but we will monitor the account with Robert and see if any money came in through that avenue, Fred. Okay. Any other questions before we move to the next?
Yeah, I think Fred needs some support from people. If you look at the symposiums, I've been on some committees and I've chased money, and it's a matter of contacting people and asking them up front and saying, what are we offering to you for this? And for the symposiums, it's that you're named as a sponsor and get a couple of bragging rights and things. And we get people to cough up $5,000 at a shot. So it takes effort. And I think that Fred needs some people to support him, to send some emails and make some calls. I mean, I often go to senior people that I know, and it's a bit of a personal favor as well as a industry favor. And if you put it in the right context, they often come through.
Yeah.
But it's not just 5,000 a pop. You can do 500, you can do 1,000, you can do 2,000, you can do 3,000. And so I look at the price of oil and the revenue that oil companies and service companies are making, and I wonder why somebody can't put $1,000 towards these students. You know, just 10 people putting in 1,000 is better than, you know, trying to find 2 that'll put in 5.
Yeah.
So a lot of the folks, you know, maybe they're afraid to go to their boss and ask for the money. I don't really know what the pushback is, but there should be some real opportunities here for us to pick up, you know, another $5,000 or $10,000 so that we can cover all these expenses with no problem.
Especially with everybody moaning that they can't attract talent. This is definitely a way to attract talent. It's kind of
exactly. And the other thing I want people to understand, when you talk about value, be a judge, because you see these teams, and if you just see the team out there, you just see, here are the 5 names on the team, but you recognize that 1 person or 2 persons on that team are the ones that are doing 90% of the work. And I guarantee you, it doesn't take you long to figure out which ones you want to hire. I mean, if you work with them as a judge, you get to know their personality. You need to know their strengths and weaknesses with scheduling and working in team. You know, there's one guy I know that was at West Virginia that technically was just fantastic, but I would never hire him because he's a pain in the butt. Well, I can't tell you that. It's illegal probably for me to say all those things, but if you're a judge, you get to see that stuff right away. You get to see which ones that, you know, I look at some people from A&M that, man, they've been snapped up in a heartbeat by some of these oil companies because they've worked with them and said, these are the guys I want to have. So we need some more judges. We got 4 judges this year, and that's it. And we need at least 6 or 8, and it's all going to be online. You don't have to travel.
Yeah.
Boy, you can really see who's doing what. So there's a lot of value in working with these students, but we got to pay in money and in time. We got to invest in them to get them to come to work for us.
Yeah. Nestor?
Yes. To me, it was I was here I am in Valencia, and in Valencia, the mayor of the city made a big festival for all the investigation or the development in the industry in the university here. And I realized that there is some group that they are working similar to what we are doing in drill robotics in the university here in Valencia. And also they don't know nothing about drill robotics. So I am trying to find out a way to do that. But the point is that in this show that had been made in a plaza, very big show, explaining all the new technology and everything to the common people, the student that presented all the project that they have, one of them was to do an autonomous boat to be able to be used with a person that is handicapped, that they can go away to the sea without doing almost anything with the boat, and also can be managed or driving from the land. So it's almost it's not the same. It's similar in the project that we are talking about, drill robotics. And all the guys from the university wearing a shirt and also raising money for the project. So there was a big festival for all kind of people, and they say, well, we need whatever you can help us, $10, $20, whatever. So I get that this is another idea also to raise money but we need the support for some authority from the town, I mean, or for the place that they are.
Okay, thank you, Nestor.
Maybe we put a tip jar in the booth at the drilling conference.
Robert?
That's a good idea, Fred. So I've got a couple of things to throw in here. First of all, well, several things. First of all, I'd like to appreciate Fred's effort in robotics over the years. He's put a major effort into it. It's been very good, and I've tried to support him wherever I can. And certainly the ISCWSA has been a contributor financially over the years. And they had a couple of judges the last time. They've been getting a little bit disheartened, I think, with robotics going forward in terms of what the challenges are for the students, and are needing to be convinced that the way forward is matching up with our section in particular, but in general. So that's a challenge going forward, I think. And certainly for putting more money into it, I think that they'd have to be convinced that that direction was appropriate. That's the main thing there. But I think I want to continue to support Fred and robotics here, but we're definitely in ISCWSA considering how to have some kind of competition for students globally, and make it work. We don't want to replace robotics. Maybe we need to, but certainly supplement it and support what's going on there, because it's been a good way of bringing some students into our community. As Nestor and people in Far East as well, it's a challenge for them. Building another drilling rig doesn't seem to be the way to go. It's a lot of capital. As Fred knows, there's a lot of challenges for teams to raise the money to do the hardware bits and pieces. So I think the direction's changed from the early days when companies were supplying parts such as drill bits and things for the students. So it's quite a bit of reevaluation needed there, I think.
I think that no, there's no question. Your contribution that you generated through WPTS, well bore positioning. So WPTS, you shifted it into directional drilling, and that really, the students really enjoyed that. There's so much more to learn than there was just in being able to spin the bit. And if you see other things that would be more beneficial, it could have huge impact on the future of robotics.
Yeah, and I think Fred's call for more judges as well was very appropriate, because I think last year, I think in the Europe competition, the only judges that were there were ones from the wellbore positioning technical section. And thank you for reminding me of the proper name here, Fred. So they both enjoyed being judges, but they felt that the DSATS section might have offered some more support for the judging as well. So that's something to think about in the future. So the only other thing I've got to say there, moving on from that discussion there, was I think I heard a proposal and a seconding, but I haven't heard for a vote yet. Are you holding the vote till later, or are you having the vote before you leave this section, Demetrius? So I think John's proposal was to go ahead and fund the tickets.
Yeah, we'll put it online. We'll put it on the website, so we capture, in a formal way, the voting and for the record. But okay. Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be in this call here. That's what you're asking.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. All right. Very good. Thank you. Let's move on to the next topic, which I think is the human factors. This is a proposal that is on the table for a while now. I talked to Sasi this week, and he didn't have really an update. We're kind of stalling there with ART group. So he promised that he's going to talk to Nathan and Andy and see how we can get this moving. I think it's the same symptom that we're seeing of everybody being tied up and busy and not being able to spend time on voluntary activities. The same thing that we see in the robotics, etc., is what we see here, I think. But it takes commitment, active commitment from people to find the time or make the time to contribute in the sections activities. So I think we all agree that this is an important topic. The question is, how do we make it move forward, you know? So that's where that stands. There isn't really any real update. I'll be happy to take any questions and try to bring them forward, you know, to Sasi and the team that is trying to lead this, you know.
I'm not just John. I'm not sure what this group is addressing. From my point of view, with automation or systems automation at the well site, that the main issue is a management of change issue rather than a human factors engineering per se. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know if anybody else can comment on that, but really what we see is just that bringing automation affects, you know, it depends on where you're putting it to, but there can be a lot of resistance, yeah. And you need to manage that rather than designing in how the human is in the loop. I think that's quite well done, actually.
Okay.
So it's two different pieces here.
It is absolutely. I mean, it's the ergonomics part of it is one aspect, but like you say, John, maybe the priorities need to be reevaluated and how it's perceived, and the management of change is more important at this point as more important than designing the human in the loop about situational awareness and all that stuff. Oh, I mean, all those aspects are important, but we cannot tackle all of them at the same time. So the task that this group, the leaders that are trying to make this happen, the task that they have is to define the scope of work. What are we tackling first, and how much, what we can do and when. And that effort is not moving forward, but that's where we need to restart it, you know.
I think Robert has his hand raised.
Sorry, yeah, Robert.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I think it's very system dependent how much work was put into the human factors. We know systems that have zero work put in there and systems that are really well advanced. I would actually, my question is, are there any papers out there where the NLVs or the neighbors actually describe a human factors effort and what the results were? To my knowledge, there is very few and far in between. I know one or two, but that's about it.
Thank you, Robert. I mean, I think Michael here, who's on the call, has done some good work trying to engage the drillers in the efforts that he has run over the years, collecting the data, analyzing the data. I don't know if you have any comments you would like to make, Mike.
But I think I'll take John's point with this is the human factor engineering is, I would argue, a component of the change that you're trying to make, because you're usually trying to change both processes. You may be changing equipment, and so I guess I'm a bit at a loss of what on this deliverable per se. Outside of, I mean, there's always some very good work in other industries that have made notes about human factors engineering. So what's the problem we're trying to solve with this? I see a bigger problem with the management of change factor, because especially, I'll say, in this period where we've added a lot more, I'll say, small automation, parts of the process have been automated, a little bit more equipment. It becomes more difficult for those users because there's more to deal with. It's not I get into the word autonomous system in most cases, right? You don't have that. And so you're actually putting more, people don't realize this, you're making it easier, but you're also making it harder for that driller in trying to accomplish drilling a successful and safe wellbore. So I'm a bit of a loss or understanding here to quite, because our work and we've published a paper on it, on the management of change it takes, and it's quite substantial. We did in our paper, we noted some human factors engineering that we did, but that was actually a pretty small component, and it's actually kind of part of the work. If you're going to build an automated system, if you're not looking at how the interface is working and so forth with the user, then you probably shouldn't be doing anything. I mean, it's kind of like it's already kind of, it should be built into your process of developing the automated system. So I don't know what this is addressing other than making, yes, you should be doing this as part of your, see, Fred's got his hand up.
Fred and Rodica. Yeah, Rodica, go ahead, please.
Yes, I just wanted to add to this a very good conversation. So a bit on the side, so we have been looking into how to increase situational awareness when going for higher level of automation from a technological perspective. Because something happens, let's say you have a automation system, something happens, how do you release control to the manual? Because it might take some time for the person to to have a good overview of what is happening around him. And you can treat that also from the technological perspective by having some set of rules, for instance, which puts the system and the process in a quasi-safe state for some minutes for the human operator to take over. And this is published work from, and NV was a co-author on that paper.
Okay, thank you, Rodica. Fred?
Michael, what I noticed in the earlier days of this, the programmers wrote the interface and put up a display that made them happy. And then we started working with the drilling contractors to make them happy, but we didn't really look at the other players. Today we call them advisors and vice versa. And so getting the advisors, the drilling contractors and equipment people on the same page is, to me, is part of DWIS's job. Human factors is that aspect of it. And I just want to point out that did Apache look at all the different players in it, or just the operator or the contractor?
No, we looked at the other players, but in general, even today, the way wells are drilled, the only, I'll say, heavyweight in the decision-making factor, other than, I'll say, the norm, is the real-time center support model is involved or not. But you look at outside of those groups, and this goes back to the prior stuff that John's written on paper and stuff, it's mostly of a data sharing mode and not participation mode. Because if you look at the level of automation we're at, it is so basic. I cannot begin to describe. So just like mentioned about situational awareness, which something I'm striving to is that situational awareness is actually easy for the driller to consume. But that's a systems engineering approach, and that's got a ways to go. Just because of our I'll say bad sensor capability, combined with using just what DWIS is trying to tackle. It's very complex. I'll say gain to a level of situational awareness where the system can trust and know. Like just take a simple thing like stuck pipe, right? I've already looked at every system on the market. There is not a system that can readily detect, I'll say, the major factors of stuck pipe. They could get it sometimes, but let's say there's a sensor missing or it's a little bit off, it can't respond and it's blind. And so the driller cannot rely on those type of systems without a high level of reliability. And we just have some ways to go there. That's my belief.
John?
Yeah, just quickly, I think the thing to remember about this, I was involved in those discussions with Sashi and Nathan. And Nathan brought a guy from BP who's a senior guy, their human factors expert. And he made a presentation, and he's the one who brought up these 5 areas. And then the discussion was not to tell people what to do, but to develop an assessment guideline so that drilling contractors could assess their situation and determine if they have any gaps or not. So it the output is an assessment guideline for drilling contractors to use to understand their situation.
Robert?
Yeah,
I just want to jump.
Go ahead, sir.
Before you jump in, John, in response to that, the problem I'm having with this is all, if you're in this space, this is like given. If you're starting out and thinking about automation, fine. But most of the folks we've been dealing with are well along where I'm not sure this is, helpful. That's my challenge versus, what resources we have. Is this really what we need to do? I guess is what my challenge is. Go ahead, Robert. Sorry.
Well, I just went on to One Petro, which is to go to for papers in our area. If I type in human factor analysis and I want to have the full sentence, I get 83 search results, which is astoundingly low in that. And so I think there is still work to do. But my point being is maybe the group can start with first going to One Petro and make an overview. What has been done? What's out there? Because also part of this discussion, I hear that some people say that there's pretty advanced work out there. Some people say, well, there's not much out there, but I think just a meta, is that called a meta analysis, going there and say, okay, fine, this is the state where we're in based on published papers. And then probably you can pretty easily say, and this is what's missing.
Yeah.
I think if you wanted to do that, then you would have to assess. I'm just saying, in the other industries, there's a lot about human factor engineering. So you would probably need to assess outside this industry if you want to make that gap assessment.
Yeah.
But I think specifically for our industry, let's start with our industry first. I mean, there's millions of papers out there in other industry, or a lot, let me put it that way. But I mean, if it's not, what's the status of our industry? And then we can say, this is the areas where we have to look for in other industries.
Yeah. I think we have a couple of more comments, but we are kind of running out of time and we still need to cover the symposium planning. So let's go through the two hands that are raised here and then we move forward. John?
Yeah, so I agree with what Michael said. This is actually definitely part of whenever we take out an application or an automation application to the well site, we spend a lot of time on the human factors, how the system interacts with people. Yeah, that piece is, it's part of what we do. The management of change, though, the getting the first item on there, the trust of the people depends completely on the culture you're releasing into, which is different in the North Sea, different in the US, and so on. And that takes a tremendous amount of effort. Sitting and putting in the infrastructure to support that. And that's where I think it'd be and for our industry, where we release globally this stuff, it's quite different. We're not releasing something into the aerospace where there's a dedicated cadre, if you like, of people. This is quite varied. For us, it varies a lot. Mm-hmm. So it'd be nice to see the management of change piece addressed with maybe within this, but the human factors we handle every day.
Fred?
Quickly. You want these systems to be interchangeable so that the driller himself can go from one rig to another, or the service company can go from one company to another. And a lot of the things that I'm hearing talked about don't cover that.
Mm-hmm.
You deal with Baker, John, but when Schlumberger comes out there, what does that do to the driller? So that's where this group should be working.
The answer to that is quite simple. The Baker system's superior, so switch back to Baker.
Okay, well, now that we've got a solution,
we solve the problem.
Anyway.
All right, guys.
Can I have 5 more seconds? Can you? I share a screen with you?
Yes, let me stop sharing so you can bring it up.
Okay.
I think you are represented already, Fred. There you go.
Okay. I told you I'd find the names of the teams for this year.
Mhm.
And people can go back and go through this on the recording. That's all I need. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Let me go back to sharing my slide. It's up. Okay.
Fred,
So-
please send that to me.
Okay.
So that was the updates for the section activities. Now let's talk about the symposium. We have like 15 minutes left. Most of it will go here, I think. So Austin, maybe you can lead this discussion.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm sure everybody knows our symposium is going to be Monday, March the 4th, that we've confirmed our participation in the event at that time. One of the suggestions that had come out, I believe, in one of the previous officer meetings was to go outside of the industry again. And I didn't get any other, I guess, or no one, I guess, rejected that idea or had something that they preferred to do. So I think we're going to move forward with that. The working title, I guess, at the moment is Cross-Industry Automation Insights. It'll be a symposium on digitalization breakthroughs and lessons learned in the automation journey. So hoping to get participants from outside of our industry to come in. I'm still working on what the format would look like in terms of how many people we have and what topics we want them to discuss. A lot of that will, of course, depend on who we can get to participate. So I'm obviously going to need help in getting these connections. I think one of my hesitations with moving forward with this is I felt like I had a lot of good connections I could reach out to in the oil and gas industry if we just wanted to have people talk about automation, but that's not the case for me in particular outside of this space. So any volunteers who have who have friends already or know people or have access to people who would fit the bill, very much would appreciate any introduction so that so I could reach out to them. Otherwise, it's going to be a lot of LinkedIn search and sending messages and hoping to get responses that way. So really, the first order is, I think one of John's suggestions was just rather than forming, a big committee like I did last time with the general membership, was maybe a committee from some of the other officers who might already have these contacts. So wanted to see if anybody else wanted to volunteer. I know John has agreed to participate in the committee, which will of course be a big help as he's done something like this in the past. But is there anybody else that would like to help organize this event?
Austin, this is John McPherson. I can send you a name, yeah. I'll just clear it with him that he can attend or to can participate. It won't be me or somebody else. But...
Okay.
I sent you an email letter yesterday, Austin. I think Rodica might be a good help here. She's on the call. She can speak for herself, but we agreed yesterday that it would make sense because it will bring some people from outside the industry, really.
Yes, I can help, but I will also take some holidays right now. So, but I can, if it's of interest, I can reach. I have some connections, in particular in AI systems and this type of. And then we discussed about some, possibly some people from Boeing that might be relevant. Yesterday, Dimitrios.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, and I appreciate Radhika you agreeing to participate. So I'm looking forward to leveraging some of your connections.
I mean, typically, Austin, what we do for this committee is 3 people from DSATS and 3 people from the ART group. So who can go to Blaine and Sarah and ask for names, if they can come up with names for people that can contribute from outside the industry,
Hey, Radhika, a quick thought is to be careful not to make commitments to people you contact before bringing their names to the committee to be approved, because in the end, it'll be a short list of agreed people, And if they've already got the indication that they've been selected, it can be a bit embarrassing.
I know I was, yes, thank you, John, but I was not, that is why I said I'm going on holiday. So I was not thinking of contacting anyone. What we have done yesterday in the VNV meeting was to just brainstorm on some people that we would like to come and present, also with a connection on, because I think a nice important part in this automation insight is also going towards the VNV for the systems. And if that person could also have some points for us, that would be helpful. So it was from that line. But thank you, John.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
All right. Anything else, Austin?
Nope. That's all.
Austin, I'll put my hand up without volunteering at the moment for that committee, so we can maybe discuss it later.
Okay. No, I appreciate it. Thank you. That's
Okay.
sorry, that was Robert. That was you, Robert, speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah, Robert Wiley.
Okay.
Robert's a good name in this committee.
Or
Yeah,
John.
we might be at our maximum though. I don't know if we can. We'll have to have a battle of the Roberts to see.
Yeah. All right. So the registration is open for this event, by the way. I think the website is up. And I'm not sure until when is the early bird rate, but if you guys planning to attend the conference and the DSATS event, maybe it's time to register now in time. Once the committee is put together, I guess we're going to discuss price for the tickets, et cetera, et cetera. All right. So let's
Hey,
move
the price is already, Demetrius, the price is set.
Demetrius, whenever they reached out about setting this up, if we wanted to keep the same pricing.
Same pricing, okay.
Yeah, so that's all set.
It's done, okay.
Yeah.
So then the last topic is any upcoming events coming up. So for the next community call, which we alternate with, is January 11, and for that one, tentatively we have Wayne Henderson, that the gentleman that Rodica mentioned earlier, to give us a presentation to the community about the STAMP methodology. I reached out to Wayne. He tentatively agreed to that. We just need to make sure they don't have any travel, any other conflicts during that day. So that's the plan. Of course, we have the symposium on March 4. Then we have 2 spots from SPE's schedule. We don't have speakers yet allocated. Friday, March 15 is the first one, and Friday, October 4th is the second. Don't have yet the schedule for SPE lives. We're going to get this as they get allocated. Those, they go through Robin now, and every section gets a couple of spots. This is what is right now on the radar. Of course, all the community calls that we have, we can use them as opportunities for technical presentations as well. And that brings us to the end of the meeting, the end of the call. I think we are right about on time. Oh, no, we have a few minutes left. If there are any other comments, suggestions, yeah.
A quick question, Demetrius. The March 15, October 4th, are they SPE lives or are they technical, whatever they call them, technical webinars?
They're technical webinars.
Because they're half an hour, right? Whereas SPE live is an hour, if I remember correctly.
I think not half. I think they are an hour, those webinars. 9 to 10, or yeah, it's more than 30 minutes for sure.
Oh, okay.
Can you repeat, please? It didn't come through clearly. So someone replied, I think, but it didn't come through the answer. Or maybe it was a side conversation. So yeah, I mean, those are 1 hour total time, I think, John. Yeah, Michael?
Yeah, just a quick one. I was a bit late coming to the meeting. Did the discussion happen about the, I noticed I came in right when you were talking about the positions to be filled, but you know, what we talked about in the last advisors DWIS meeting, this need to bring in, I'll call people who are actually doing automation right now, in the bigger sense.
Yeah.
Did you guys discuss that?
We did discuss about the need to put together a nominating committee to fill the positions that are open, you know, in the structure, in the formal structure, board members and officers. But what you are saying, Michael, is also true, that we need to keep bringing people in that are actively working in this area in the industry. And this is not something that people that will be voted in will just, I mean, this type of recruiting, if you want, happens all the time outside the bylaws and the constitution. This is not necessarily the job of the nominating committee to find these people. It's up to all of us to go find those practitioners and try to bring them in.
Yeah, the only reason I bring that up is in the past, and this goes back a ways, John, I can't remember when we stopped it. We had a membership committee for helping to bring in those, you know, targeted people, headhunt those people and see if we could get them involved in it, especially now with so much work actually happening, to get their insights and to get them to participate. But that was the only, you know, an idea I just wanted to bring forward.
Yeah. And there is a lot of people like this that are in the sidelines, and it just takes someone reaching out to them for them to get engaged. And they will not engage by themselves. They are busy.
Yeah, so I don't know if we want to think about in the new year a concerted effort in that regard. Certainly DWIS needs the help.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good point. Any other thoughts, comments from anyone before we close?
I got another quickie. Anybody wants to purchase Automate, AUTOM number 8.org, let me know.
What is that, Fred, again? AUTLN?
Automate, AUTOM number 8.org is up for sale.
Oh.
And if it's DSATS, it might even be a contribution. You never know. Okay.
Okay. All right. I think that's it. Then thanks everybody for your time. The meetings, Sam is going to prepare the meetings. The recording will be available from Greg. Happy holidays to everyone. And we'll see everyone in a month's time, approximately.
Hey, Robert, could you put your email in the chat? I was looking for, I don't think I have it.
Which Robert are you talking to?
To you, sir.
Sure will. Okay. No problem. Happy holidays, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you.